Well, hi, Stewart. Are you going to play with your squirrel? Are you going to play with your squirrel? You going to get your squirrel? Huh? Are you going to get your squirrel? Let's play with him, okay? Want Mommy to play with you? Want Mommy to play with you and your squirrel? You going to wrestle with him? You better get your squirrel. You better get him. Get your squirrel, little guy. Get your squirrel. You better go get him. Get your squirrel. You get your squirrel. You better get that squirrel. Get him. You get him. Get your little squirrel and play with him. There you go. You play with your squirrel, little fella. You play with that squirrel. Hi. Hi, little nugget. You better play with that squirrel. You silly boy. You're such a silly boy. You're a silly boy. You better get that squirrel. Come on. You better get him. You better get him. You better get that silly squirrel. You better get him. You better get that squirrel, you silly boy. You're such a silly boy. You're such a silly boy. You're so silly. You better get him. Better get him. You better get him. You better get that silly squirrel. I'm going to get him. Ready? Let's wrestle with him. You get him. You get that squirrel. You get him. You better get him. You better get that silly squirrel. You get him. Are you going to get me now? Who's going to get me now? I will roll you over. I will get your belly. I will get your belly. I will get your belly. I'll get your belly. You better. Silly thing. Silly boy. Oh, silly boy. I will get you. I will get you. I will get you. I will get you. So you can get your squirrel? Come on, let's wrestle with squirrel. Let's wrestle with squirrel. Wrestle with squirrel. You getting him? Are you beating him up? Are you beating that squirrel up? Are you beating him up? You better get him. You love your little squirrel. You love your toy squirrel. Want me to get your belly? Want me to get your belly? I will get your belly. I'll get your belly. I'll get your belly. I will get him. I will get him. I will get him. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Aw, are you getting sleepy now? You getting sleepy? You come over here? Are you getting kind of sleepy now? Aw. Aw. I'm still getting sleepy. Huh? Want to scratch under your arm? Want to get under here? Yeah. Now you're going to fall asleep on your squirrel. Yeah. Want to get under your arm? You like that. That feels good. Under your little arm. You're a healthy boy, aren't you? Healthy boy. You're almost, I'm going to guess you're about 6 years old. Yeah. Are you 6? So much for sleeping. So much for sleeping. I'll wrestle with you. I'll wrestle with you, silly boy. I will wrestle with you. I will get you. I will get you. Oh, silly boy. I'll get your belly. I'll get your belly. I'll get your belly. I'll get your belly, silly boy. Sweet boy. Sweet boy. I'm going to have to say goodnight, okay? We'll be back tomorrow to play with Squirrel. You going to go to sleep? You going to sleep with your squirrel? Bye-bye. You better get him. You better get him. You better cuddle up with Squirrel. You better cuddle up with him.